stage 2 scars, albeit that was an 8-7 15 rounder. So we head straight into it. No dilly-dallying here. Straight into Nighthaven Labs, the map pick of CAG. Me and Gus have only got to cast this once. I'm not too sure. Have you cast this yet?
We casted it in OCN. I mean, sorry, OC League. Yeah. I'm still stuck in the old way. OC, yeah, I'm still stuck in the old guard anyway. Yeah, we managed to cast it. It was the Bliss game.
That's right.
The Bliss Barbie Boys game, that was on Lab. So I'm really excited to go into this one because I feel like if there's any chaotic map in Japan League, it's going to be this one, right? Like, for sure. It's a brand new map. All the call-outs are going to be in Japanese, so it's going to be good fun for us.
Well, the last time I did this, it was in all Korean. So.
Oh, okay.
And I remember Gus was giving me, the old S word, and because he obviously plays a lot more than I do, and he's had a lot more time on Labs in games, so he knew all the call-outs, and I was still a little bit astray. He also did have the call-out map out, by the way, so he was cheating. Okay, as Fenrir Solus Ram gets banned along with the Montang. I do like the Solus and the Fenrir bans, but the Ram does surprise me a little bit here. We haven't really seen too much Ram probably since maybe the first weeks really of stage 2, and its effectiveness has been questionable at best. The Montang obviously a bit more of a target ban, and we head into this one with Cyclops attacking. And I will say, from the games of Labs that I've seen thus far, Mandy, obviously Korea, as you said, Oceania, it does kind of play in towards the gunplay. First contact fights will be quite important, and the map is quite large, so roaming is also going to be a strong factor.
Yeah, I think that's exactly right. Like, for the attack, this is one of those maps where there are a lot of viable entry points, like you're saying, right? And so for the defense, they need to spread themselves thin if they want to lean into that early game and actually try and deny the attackers the map in general. So like you're saying, it is quite a bloodbath in the entry point of the round, like as in those early stages, as you get in towards that mid-round. I think it's really important for the defense to be really proactive and ensuring that the attackers have a hard time getting into the map.
The other part of it as well, Cyclops, they picked this map, and it's not as if this is the kind of map that you really have to go to. So we get some free cam action here. I've started to see, I think the Japanese region are pretty happy to use the free cam, and yeah, they looked pretty good there. I'm not gonna lie, the Korean ops tried it. It was not great. It was honestly didn't come off. I can't believe you've
thrown him under the bus there.
I know, I'm sorry.
But yeah, I was waiting. I was like, I wonder if he's gonna say it or not. But yeah, you're actually gonna be in for a treat. Like the Japan League, obviously the free cam is good. He's amazing at it. I don't know who they are, but we need to figure out who they are because, like, props to them. They're doing some obs innovating.
So double hard breach set up for Cyclops here and close to side on the eastern side. They do have the Candelas for Black Grey in terms of an entry, along with Chibisu and the Yana. So in terms of entry position for Cyclops, not too bad pushing off of these hard breach positions. And I guess for Crest, it might be largely sitting on site here, trying to play off the Azami keeper barriers for sure. Neko, and obviously you've got the Aruna Sawyer gates to block sort of the entry points through the doorways. And you kind of don't see too much of a roam here from Crest at the moment.
Yeah, not at the moment. This is one of those bomb sites, that top floor command center and server bomb site, where it's a little bit more claustrophobic for the defense. You don't need to extend like your roam down across horizontally or across down the floors, although some teams do lean into it. And instead what they're just going to do here is contest the 2 main breaches that go in towards the bomb site. The problem with that is that it has allowed a Crowley to go down below, and he does have 2 grenades in his pocket. So with the right info on the bomb site, he could definitely take out some of these anchors.
Japan, region that can play slow at times, 90 seconds until the first contact, and it goes the way of Cyclops. Chibisu on the Yana finds the kill onto Whiskey. Lord just sitting in sight pretty much is the common theme at the moment for Crest. They do have a little bit of vert down the hatch, was one little orange outline that I did get to see. Anaton now just trying to open up this corridor. Gets rid of the keeper barrier. Obviously the electric claws in play here from Eclair, holding first floor at the moment, but Arkali down there, and you do have Choppy down there as well, just below the site. Something that does need to eventually be cleared by Cyclops. Arkali, though, might not be necessarily aware. Candela's going out, and it will be a site hit from Cyclops. Minute left in this round. So, in terms of timing, actually not that bad. Still 2 Candelas available. I think they're anticipating the push from Choppy eventually here on the first floor. The corridor swing goes the way of Choppy. Now can play the stairs and gets the down onto Black Grey. Won't get the notification, but should be aware of it and goes back up with the pistol. So it's a 3 versus 3 execute now for Cyclops. Credit to Crest, they've been able to sort of ward them off here and really take the fights in these choke points. But Anaton finds 2 elsewhere. As we watch Lua, he can't play off of his own gas babe. Loses that one to Susie. And a decent start for CAG.
They've done really well here to actually gain control of the map that they had been given to, right? They realized that the weak point in the bomb site was that IT breach and inside of garage as well. And so as that control started to come through, the defense was forced to go backwards into the site. They got really stuck just like inside the corners of server, inside the corners of the control room. And although it was a two-way pinch, one half of it didn't work. We saw that 2K that came out from the blue stairs, but the other side of it did. As that flood came through, CYCLOPS were able to get all the kills that they needed to, and they eventually claimed the round from a flood.
Yeah, decent start. I mean, a little bit slow to get going, but in fairness, it's the kind of site there where you can kind of work on the walls early on. You're not necessarily far away from the site, so time's probably not too much of a factor. The only thing that somewhat stalled them out potentially was that first floor roam that we saw from Choppy. You could clearly see the Black Ray understood that he was down there. You had a couple of Candelas, tried to take the fight towards the blue stairs, but ultimately Choppy did actually win that. Irregardless though, moving on. We head downstairs at the moment. Crest, again, this is where I'm expecting them to probably play a little bit more into that roam game. And you can see it with their operator lineup as well. Bringing the castle, you got the Legion, the Mirror probably more on site, but the Vault cams, again, information is going to be very key on this site. Very large map. These Vault cams are going to be helpful.
Yeah, but like you said, the defense now has to lean into that roam game since it is that basement bomb site. There is potential to go up. But on the side of the attack for CYCLOPS, you now see two of your roam clearing aid operators, right? You've got the Jackal and the Dokkaebi in the hands of the attack to make sure that they can get in this building nice and easy. Try and cut down on some of those droning steps because like you said, this map is massive. There are so many steps that the attack needs to make their way through the building. There are a lot of floors and there's so much vertical potential that they want to use from the fuse. Eventually they want to get that player inside of the ground floor, right? So there's a lot for the attack to do right now.
Fuse does also bring secondary hard bridge, could be helpful. Anderton on the Jackal looking to clear out some of these roamers. That's going to be a very important operator here on Nighthaven Labs. Will be the Jackal. Choppy actually trying to push forward into this. Already has taken a little bit of damage, sensing that maybe he has to actually take the fight on. Two goo mines in the back pocket. Could just look to maybe fall off of this position, making noise, try and bait out the push. Double stack here at the moment with the Valk. Anderton could have actually been almost on for a double. Won't be. Black Raid finds a kill elsewhere onto Reclaim, and they do know where Shironeko is as well. So that's a little bit of information. At least one out of the three remaining members of Crest. 4 versus 3 as well for CYCLOPS. Until just then, Lua gets one back. Does he get traded? No. Makes it back down the stairs towards the basement. Pings out the hatch. Knows there's one above. Here's the sound cue. Just under 90 seconds left. At the very least for Crest, they've evened it up in terms of the roam game up above.
I don't know if they've evened it out just yet, though, because like you said, Shironeko is actually still somewhere in that top floor, so the attack is really cut in half right now. And there he is. He manages to find one of those picks onto Suzuki outside of the building, and the diffuser's down cold as well.
Still 60 seconds, still a bit of time. You are right, though, that Shironeko does find that kill. And then now they can kind of have that advantage on site. Anderton does obviously spot out Shironeko on stairs at the moment. Shibusu just lurks up above first floor. 40 seconds trying to just sort of flush him out. Fuser picked up by Anderton. No more charges in the Inox scanner, and they have to play off of each other as the duo. 30 seconds, and the next kill going to be so impactful as they push into sight. Must find the opening kill. Shibusu can't just die for nothing here as he runs through towards sight, takes a big chunk of damage, can't win the initial trade. Never mind, they do, they trade because he was so low on health. Makes it a 1 versus 2, but for Anderton, he also has to get the diffuser down. I don't know if there's going to be an initial rush onto his location. He actually gets off of it. Can't win the fight against Whiskey. The mirror's too good up close. And Crest will respond in the second round.
You called that one super early in the round, Xenox. You said, like, it's going to be on that roam game, right? Just how important it is. And for the attack, as they started to go in for it, their attack being cut in half by Shironeko still remaining on that top floor was a massive thorn in their side. It completely threw them off guard as they tried to get into the bomb site, realizing, hang on a moment, we still have someone to worry about on the top floor. We still have the bomb to collect as well. And eventually that disconnect in the attack led to the defense looking really comfortable on the bomb site. We saw in those last dying seconds of the round, the plant had to be baited out. That gunfight wasn't won, and Whiskey can very comfortably close it out.
Shows the importance there, I think, in that kind of scenario. Yeah, they ended up trading, but the only way they probably win that round is if Chibisu gets a clean kill and can hold the sort of guard position while plant does go down from Anderton in the end. Chibisu dead. Anderson's got no one protecting him, and he's very vulnerable. I think he played that as well as he could. Probably just fake plant, play the sound cue, hope that someone swings, get the kill, and then go for the real plant. But yeah, not much more you could do. The other thing with Nighthaven Labs, it's really hard to sort of understand, is this going to favor defense attack? I think in its current state, because it's still so fresh and it's still so new, obviously you're going to favor the teams that have put more work into it. But for those that don't have as much full understanding, defense typically will prevail in those circumstances. So even though Cyclops have picked this, if they can find 2-3 attacking rounds, the CYCLOPS going for a spawn pick, and that's a freebie. Chibisu just completely caught lacking awareness. That door was wide open, and he just didn't even pay it any kind of attention at all. So opening kill for Crest early in this round, perfect considering last round, this was a kind of on-site hold, second floor site. Now that you got that extra player, the on-site hold's going to be even stronger.
Yeah, well, that's a pretty shocking one as well from CAG. You don't often think that they would fall down to mistakes like that, but that's okay. The thing with the Ashe is that her utility isn't mission critical for the push that they're trying to do here, right? All they need to do here for this top floor bomb site is to put their focus on trying to open up these walls. So immediately IIT pressure is going to go down. Not just that, but Suzuki still has those Selmas in charge as well to try and open up that connector position and put pressure onto the extension of this anchor setup.
Definitely imagine this is going to be a particular round that probably will play quite a bit slower. Unless CIG maybe sense being down a player that they might want to force the issue. Through IT, it's actually CYCLOPS that finds the kill onto Anaton. So again, proactiveness on the defense is quite strong from Crest. And this is definitely forcing Cyclops into a bit of a gun duel that maybe they wouldn't want necessarily on the second floor site. Eva Barrier is being played well by CYCLOPS as well, but also not necessarily just sitting in a corner. He's proactive, getting on the front foot, looking to find kills, up to 4 now early on. And it's choppy. That gets rid of Arkali. So this has been a calamity of a round from Cyclops. On a site that you kind of want to play more objectively, get through the checklist. It's a bit slower, more rudimentary. They lose one early to an outside spawn peak, and then the rest of them are just getting cut apart. 1 versus 4 now for Suzu. Gets a freebie on to CYCLOPS, who's been doing that pretty much all round long with the vault overs and the peaks. Non-stop moving on that Azami, but up close swinging with a shotgun. It is choppy to finish the round off, and it's Crest that have got themselves an early round lead here on Nighthaven Labs.
Yeah, the problem with that CAG attack, especially onto the top floor, is that it's really linear, right? The only pressure that they put onto the bomb site came from just one side of the map. It was only through IT, it was only through Garage, and like you pointed out, that spawn peak that came out really put a thorn in the side to the one area of pressure that they were trying to put onto the map, right? There was no control that came out from the connector side. There was no one actually playing there. And we saw CYCLOPS be able to just jump out from that electrical window and then go for some peek out onto the IT breach, right? That's what happens when you don't have a multifaceted push. You enable the defense to have so much space, and they can make plays like that.
And you gotta remember as well, the pressure's definitely more on Cyclops here. They've picked this map. A new map, fresh map that you maybe aren't going to always understand how much time and effort certain teams put into this. Maybe Crest are actually happy with this. Maybe they've secretly been working on their Nighthaven Labs. Vice versa as well for Cyclops, hence why they've picked it here. But this is a crucial series, Mandy. This is not just some random best of 1 or a best of 3 that doesn't mean anything. You win this, you go to the major. And you've gone and picked Nighthaven Labs. This will they will have egg on their face if Cyclops lose this map.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I think Crest have totally caught them off guard here with the map veto. Like you're saying, there is no way that they could have been prepared for this. Obviously, we don't watch scrims, so we don't watch what's going on behind the scenes. But just looking at the map data, we don't have any map data on Crest playing Nighthaven Labs. But neither do we for Cyclops either. So Cyclops really had to back in the fact here that they were strong on this map, not knowing the strength of Crest on this. And allowing Crest to play this through the map veto, I think was a big risk.
Yeah, and it's a map as well that, yes, new map, defense can typically do well on new maps when maybe knowledge is not quite at full capacity. But the way that the map flows and it plays, it's gunfight to gunfight, it's clearing rooms, it's roamers, and that kind of then leans a little bit more into the attacking teams having a decent time. So the fact that they've only got the 1 round to begin with here, and Crest looks honestly pretty good. All of the rounds have been pretty hotly contested, and the latest round being the one that was quite comfortably won by Crest does give concerns for CIG. And I hate to say it, man, and to bring it up, but obviously this is a roster and a team that has a history at losing the very important matches. Now, Logiform's gone out. Claire does get off the phone. Can't win the fight. Chibisu, shotgun to shotgun, just barely survives it. and now can actually push in towards this site. They've won it out, and it's a team kill as well that does not help out Crest. Choppy gets in the way of Sireneko, and in the end, it's relatively flawless from CAG. That is a very dominant round win from them.
Yeah, that was a really fascinating attack as well that they managed to pull off there. They got that ground floor control, actually not even ground floor, but the basement control that really enabled that push up the exo stairs. And as soon as that happened, it was completely explosive onto the bomb site. That gave them access to that kitchen bomb site through the little tiny storage room, the pantry room that's just on the top of those stairs. They were able to hop through the defending holes that they'd made against them and actually make use of it to collapse onto the players on the site there. So really well identified from CAG to do a push that was very focused and fixated to directly attack the bomb site.
And it felt like a little bit of an important round early on here too. You don't want this to get out to 1-3. Crest then looking like they've got some confidence rolling. CAG, the mental, does that become a factor? So to win also in the fashion that they did, very dominant, straight to site, direct, won all the gunfights, early contact fights, all very comfortable from them. The initial logic bomb and playing off that was basically perfect. That was a really solid round. Probably their best round so far. And 4 rounds in now, 2-2 scoreline, certainly quite fair. I think we've seen some good things from both teams. But yeah, that's probably not good enough for Cyclops, though, on this pick. I think they would have wanted to be in a more commanding position.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing as well. Like, for Cyclops, that is the one and only commanding round that we've really seen from them. Like, yes, they won yet another round on the top floor, but it was still pretty close when it came down to it, right? So I think here on the attack, Cyclops just don't look as confident here at the moment as in their way that they clear the map. To be honest, I'd actually bring it down to the philosophy of what they're trying to achieve in the map. It feels like they're not trying to achieve very many things in their attack. Like, there's a particular checklist, like a particular amount of items that they want to do, and that's their plan, and that's what they're going to go for. They don't really seem very opportunistic here on their attack, is what I'm trying to say, right? So I think for CAG, sometimes we can see them tunnel vision into doing exactly what they want to do, and that worries me a little bit.
Yeah, and in terms of the flow of the map, it doesn't play out anything like a Clubhouse or an Oregon, where you've kind of got set rudimentary ways that you kind of clear map, get through checklist, do it in this order. It's all routine. It's a little bit more free flowing. You can kind of change it up. There's mix-ups to this map in the way that you enter, the way you attack. Lua finds an early kill onto Jibisu, and that's kind of then going to favor the defense a little bit as well, because they can be in kind of places you maybe wouldn't expect them. That one above, a couple of trades go out around the map. And this is just Nighthaven Labs. This is going to be a very common theme on this map, especially while teams get used to it. You're going to see a lot of these sort of corridor fights and swinging and trying to clear out positions and rooms and roamers. Somewhat a little bit reminding me of when Skyscraper came into the map pool. There's sort of clearing rooms and those fights early on. I think that's kind of toned down a little bit now as teams have got more used to it. 4 versus 3, still over a minute. Candelo goes out and Anderton makes his way through IT. No one there, though.
This is a very challenging roam clear for CAG. They tried to be explosive into that top floor, but actually lost the lives of 2 of their players in doing so. Not just that, but it's allowed Crest to actually rotate back down safely to the bomb site. I think there's only 1 roamer left here on this ground floor, and that's Choppy. Not sure where Lua's gone so far, but it really feels like the attack have a massive disconnect in the intel going on right now. It just only seems like now they're being clued into the fact that, okay, we might have control of this ground floor, but they actually don't. Choppy's just around the corner from Anaton. They really don't have the info for this.
Yeah, well, they've only got 2 drones left, 35 seconds. The hatch gets opened up. Only 1 Candela left available from Anaton. In hand, smoke as well. A couple of flashes from Black Ray and Suzu. You're into the final 20 seconds now, and you're still having to contend with this mirror in the basement. Suzu's actually found their way into sight. It doesn't matter. Eclair won the battle over towards the mirror window. Nitrocell as well stopped that plant from going down. And Lua was then in a position to get the trade onto Anaton. So defense prevails in the basement. And they almost played that like almost like a clubhouse in a way, right? You get that player advantage. You all rush back down to basement, hold your sight, and just wait for Cyclops to have to push in. There's not much they could do. You've got to contest with the mirror. It's honestly been really well played from Crest thus far.
Yeah, I think that's exactly right. That's some great decision making from them as well, because one of those early plays that got taken down was the Ash, and that was the breach charges. Now, whether Crest knew it or not, I think that was the only vertical pressure that Cyclops had entirely on their lineup at that point, right? So Crest knew even if they fall back down to the bomb side, they're going to be able to sit in all of their power positions safely, and they're not going to feel that pressure from the vertical. Not just that, but Cyclops then on the attack don't even have the manpower to shoot their guns down and waste their time like that anyway, right? So Crest, they play into that macro decision making really well through the mid round off the back of those 2 entry picks that went their way.
So an opportunity for Crest to extend their lead once again. They had it in the last round, or last round prior. And obviously Cyclops were able to respond quite swiftly. Remember that dominant attacking round, push straight into sight. So once again though, we go top floor. In a bit of a mixed bag here on the second floor. Good round from Cyclops, a bad round from Cyclops. But I must say, it's not like this match, this first half has been a case of like, oh, if Cyclops make a mistake or if they don't make a mistake. A lot of these rounds have been actually largely dictated by sort of Crest and what they're doing. They're happy to take early contact fights, happy to swing. We've seen a couple of spawn peaks. Like, they're actually quite proactive on the defense, and that's typically going to find success. I don't think Claire has got that trick, the Electric Claw, so that gets a little punished, and Cyclops get a mini win. Breach opened up, drone went through as well, bit of information. And Cyreneko is going to be probably, I think, a big factor here, holding this sort of 90 position just outside the site with those Kiba barriers. Obviously, he's also got a couple of mute jammers as well. It almost reminds you of a bit of a like rafters position in Garage on Club.
Yeah, it's exactly like that. That's exactly what I'd put it akin to, right? It's that position where you can hold on for as long as you'd like, and you can use those keeper barricades to hold yourself safe from the window hoppers. You can see one here, that Candela's going to come out, and Cyreneko actually not safe from that position as Black Ray's able to get in off the back of that Candela. A Crowley on the other side is going to win his one over on blue as well, and it's looking much better for Cyclops.
Yeah, just no trade potential from that position for Crest. It's kind of Cyreneko on an island, and as soon as he falls and he only got the one kill, there was just no real trade follow-up from Crest. Credit to Cyclops, hit their shots really cleanly. That was a nice little peek shot with the SMG-11 by Lure. Still 3 gas babes. He could look to play off. Nade falls short at the window, at the breach. But very low on health, and unfortunately, in a 1v3, and Cyclops have time to navigate the situation here. I think this is more likely to shape up to be a 3-3 scoreline at the end of the half. Flash goes out, doesn't land onto Lewis. Still 2 gas babes. Going to get the kill here onto Suzu. No. Had he, well, Chibisu's quite low. So in terms of a winnable factor, had he found that kill there, that would have been really handy. Creeping up to the left-hand side. Doesn't matter anyway. Suzu gets him through the doorway. So 3-3 at the half. A very fair scoreline. And definitely summarizes that this match thus far has been very close between these two teams.
Once again, Cyclops doing a really good job at dialing it back and then upping the tempo again by sort of doing this like half-scale execute only onto that garage and IT part of the map, right? As soon as those Candelas came out, you had 2-3 players hopping their way into the building, trying to play off the back of that intel and off that utility, and that's exactly what they did. They completely cut down half of the defense of Crest. Not just that, but the gunfights that came out on the top of blue stairs were actually won in favor of Cyclops that time around, right? So all of their mini execute steps actually going the right way for them amounted to what was a very convincing round.
Yeah, and I think it's probably hard to get a feel as to what is going to be the case now in the second half. The only thing I'll say is the onus now goes on to Crest to sort of follow up the attacking prowess that we saw from Cyclops. They kind of need to match that, better that maybe, if they really want to win in regulation. I guess overtime wins is obviously at this point now just the exact same as the regulation win anyway. There's no points in the semi-finals. It's just you either win or lose. So Cyclops onto the defense. Did you bring the Mozzie? I like that pick and sort of just information denial in terms of the drones. Obviously the Solace has been banned out. So the Mozzie may be next best in line for that particular play. Inox Scanner will be in play through the Jackal of Choppy. And Brava, I love that pick as well on this map. Even just hacking the default cameras just provides that extra information. Choppy does actually get a little tag on to Anderton. He gets shot through barricaded doorway, and then down below on the entry, it's Cyreneko that gets the opening kill. They deal with the Vel, too busy on the cams, gets caught, kind of pinched between the two players on the entry, and that's a great start for Crest.
That is, like you said, and really well coordinated as well. There was a pre-placed drone that was on the top of those lobby stairs that could see exactly where Anaton was, and two players combined forces to eventually be able to take him down. One at the top of the stairs, one at the bottom of the stairs. Easy and simple as you like it. Crest are able to get this first pick. And like you pointed out, yes, there is Mozzie on the other side, and yes, there's a lot of info for the defense, but it's going to be very much countered by these attacking operators able to cut down on the drone work that they need to do. That Jackal is going to enable them to figure out exactly where the defenders are when they've fallen off. And same thing with the Dokkaebi as well. Instead of droning a room, just Dokkaebi call it, and you can skip droning that room, go drone the next room instead. It's what you need to do to seriously cut down the steps on this map because there's a lot of map to clear.
Almost like triple info gathering if you use the Bravia in that way. Of course, a couple of util gadgets that you could also hack, but that's going to be another default camera picked up by Syrian Echo, along with the fact that you've still got those logic bombs, the Inox scanner in play as well for Choppy. So you basically surround the double hard breach with some info gathering operators. I think it's definitely a way that we're going to see teams operate on this map. On the basement, but Black Ray actually up above second floor over towards that rafters position that we saw in the last round. So he holds out with a very, very long roam. Still a minute left, so he'll probably get on the move. Could end up being a big win condition for Cyclops if he can get in and behind the sort of front line of Crest. Chibisu as well, still holding above. Has got a pathway back down as well through those stairs, but Crest have kind of stalled themselves out a little bit. And I sense Chibisu might have just found a kill. Yeah, spotted the knee of Choppy just as he took out that drone. Unfortunate timing for Choppy. I think he wanted to play off the live drone, but just was a little slow. And Hakali then finds a kill. How quickly things can turn. And that was during a logic bomb as well.
Oh dear, so the problem with this is that because the map is so big and they cut down on so many of these roam clear steps, they haven't done their due diligence in doing this roam clear properly, right? And so it's left players awry inside of that top floor, and now with the numbers disadvantage, they need to start turning their sights towards the side instead. There's so much pressure that can come up from behind them, flanks they have to worry about, that this attack is going to be very disconnected.
Akali gets taken down initially though, but all the kills for Cyclops in terms of the on-site pressure. Eclair can get in, try and get the plant down. Fakes it, gets off, gets the kill, no time though. So in the end, Cyclops prevail. It was their lurk up above that gave them the success in the round. That was, as you said, the due diligence not being done by Crest, which feels harsh. I feel harsh saying that because they actually did a good job of like clearing a lot, dealing with some of the roamers, getting themselves in good positions, but the map is just so big that you just got to do more of it.
Yeah, I think a big thing about this map is that, like, okay, this is going to be a very nitpicky comment, but the architecture of this map leans itself into being very hard to put flank drones down as well, right? Because, yes, there are so many stairwells, but they're not, like, continuous stairwells, if you know what I mean. Like, when you think about, like, Villa, for example, you think of, like, 3 stairwells. They all, like, connect up to each other, right? When you think of this map, it's like there are so many stairs, but one set of stairs doesn't directly lead into a stairwell down to one under it, right? So if you're a defender, there's a lot of potential fallout routes for you, but then there's also even more retake routes as well, right? Because you can get yourself back up into another floor in a way that there probably hasn't been an attacker there yet, in a way that they've got to put down an extra flank drone for that way, right? Or something like that. So I think, like you're saying, we are being a bit harsh on the attack. It is quite challenging to roam clear and then also cover your back at the same time if you're on this side of the attack.
Kind of funny when you think about who does this map really favor, because you can make very valid arguments for both sides. You can say, well, it's a roam heavy map that can typically lean into favoring attacking teams because they can get those early contact fights, really loosen up the defense. It's not quite, 5 on site and into trade, but at the same time then that's a lot of work to be done by the attacking team. So I think it comes down to time management as well. If you actually commit early on in the round to properly clearing, and I mean properly clearing and droning and getting info, and you utilize your time wisely, I think attacking teams will find success. But if you're a little slow, and unfortunately there are some regions in APAC that can be quite slow in attacking, this map's not going to be very, very beneficial then for the attacking teams. Back up towards the top second floor. This one's a bit more direct. You deal with that rafters position, get main breach in towards site, so you don't have to worry as much about time, and you don't have to clear as much of the map.
Yeah, and this is a very different attacking philosophy and style coming out from Crest. Every single attack that we saw Cyclops do, they put all of their pressure on that IT breach and trying to find an opportunity from there. Crest are actually doing the opposite, and they're putting all of their resource over on that connector side of the building. They've even got players trying to entry in from below and even through meeting to try and deal with this pressure from the northern side of the map instead. So very different approaches to the same bomb site.
Again, though, for this particular site, time not as much of a factor considering there's 90 seconds left. Got to remember, breach has already been done. So in terms of site entry, it's possible at any moment's notice. So Crest is just kind of doing, ironically, their due diligence more so in this round, getting multiple entry points, clearing out some of the roamers. It was a 1-for-1 trade. You do lose the sledge, not ideal. Lure those straight in through the breach, tries to play off it. No denial from Cyclops. They don't take the initial fight. Falling off. Probably wise. I think just trying to keep as much map control under your belt here for Cyclops is key. Even if Crest push into sight, go for the retake, and they've still got that rafters position under control.
I think the big thing here is as soon as Crest open up that connector wall, hang on, I think Crowley's going to be good for one down here on the ground floor. That's really going to cut down the attack here for Crest and leave them a big numbers disadvantage. Oh, but he actually gets off the angle. But what I was going to say for Crest, they saw the mirror window over on connector side and they're like, nah, we're not doing that. So they're going to go over to garage instead and shift their focus and try something else.
No logic bombs available from Whiskey, so can't call out, won't get intel on Akali. Only 2 drones remaining, 1 active. 30 seconds, so in terms of information, not really a whole lot for Crest. They're not going to be too wary of Akali's position. Does start to make his way up. The initial kill though to Lure. Traded immediately by Tribusu. In already another fight, and he does win it against Declare. He'll finish him off with the pistol. Whiskey and Choppy don't have time. They don't have the diffuser either. Despite getting that headshot, Choppy now very low on health. Pistol will do the job. Whiskey loses his life, no time. Cyclops are starting to pull away here. They're starting to just command a bit of a lead on Nighthaven Labs, +2 round differential, and edging closer to taking this first map.
Indecision was really what was the death of Crest there in that round. It just felt like everything that they tried to do to get inside the building, they were met by a bit of resistance that they weren't willing to deal with, right? As soon as that connector wall got opened up, they droned the inside of it and saw, oh, there's a mirror there. We don't have range hard breach. We can't deal with that, so let's not go there. They try to go to IT instead, where there's no mirror window. But then there's resistance over in rafters, like we pointed out when they were on their defense, right? So both sides of their push that Crest tried to do, they couldn't solve the next step through the mid round and eventually then get that in towards the bomb site. So Cyclops hold strong there. They play the numbers game, and then right at the end they play the time game. A lot of discipline on their side, something that we don't normally say about this particular roster, but they play it to perfection and close it out really nicely.
Yeah, and sort of assessing the way in which Cyclops won a couple of their attacking rounds. Two of them spring to mind in those sort of rush attacks where they kind of forewent a lot of the roam and map clear and hit site directly and hit some really good shots, opened up site, got themselves key advantage in site itself, and that then makes retake difficult as it is anyway. Tribusu is going to go for something here, actually goes for the reinforcement of the hatch outside, but where I'm getting with that is we haven't seen that from Crest. They're playing more conventionally. So you're seeing a lot more of the Jackals, which they've actually repicked off. But you're seeing a lot more of the slow play, open up the main breach, but then rotate off it rather than pushing through it. And you can already see again with their lineup, double hard breach into the Ossa, the Lion, and the Buck. It doesn't scream fast gameplay. So then again, going to play slow. They're going to be slow roam clear. And that's going to just, I think, play into the favor of Cyclops.
I think you've read that right as well. It does look like they are going to try and probe into that top floor. Like you're saying, they want to make full use of that Buck because there is some vertical potential going out into the bomb site. Keep in mind, it is going to be the one on that ground floor. It's going to be that kitchen cafeteria bomb site. So there's an opportunity here for the attack to try and make their way into meeting and clear out and flush out some of those anchor positions to make it easier later on in the round.
Big round for Crest. You lose this. Suddenly it's match point for Cyclops. Of course, this is a best of 3 winner to the major. They will go technically to a grand final first, and that will be to determine whether or not phase 2, phase 1 at the major, but a major nevertheless. Anderton top stairs here, second floor, throws out Magnet. Obviously, here's the sound cue of Crest's entry close by. There's another EE1D that goes out from Choppy. Whiskey moves off of it. They got a couple of pings. Drones out. Only 4 have been destroyed this round, so a little bit better with their drone economy. Just under 90 seconds left. Still 5 drones left. So impactful, so critical on this map to get as much information as possible.
Yeah, this is nice from CAG. They've actually got a rotate that's going to go back in towards the bomb site. So Anaton is going to be able to get away with his life. Really nice pick from Chibisu out onto Sironeko as well, who's trying to get the cutoff on these two defenders. Meanwhile, the funnel is going to come down from the lobby stairs.
Spots the arm. Anaton, that's not the best time to go for utility. A second from Lure as well, so wins out, bot stairs, minute left. Crest in a position to maybe steal this round. X-Caros go out to deal with the castle barricade. And they've got Vert. This is the best that Crest have looked to find an attacking round win in the second half. They must capitalize. They have to. Otherwise, it's 3 match points to Cyclops. If they don't win this round, I can't imagine them winning this match. And Lure has just gone massive for Crest. 3 of the 4 kills in this round for Lure alone. 1 on 4 for Black Grey. And Crest finally are going to find an answer here on the attack of Labs.
Nice final pick from Whiskey as well. It was really this synthesis between the top floor play and the push from Lobby that really won them out the round. We were on board with Lua, who was able to get both those kills down on the players in Lobby, right? And you might be wondering, why are those players still sitting down on the lobby stairs? Like they have a rotate to go back into the bomb site. Why aren't they just going back to safety? The reason why they couldn't do that is because there was Whiskey on the top floor above them, right? He was on the buck, he made the vertical, and he could see that rotate was there. So even if the defenders actually wanted to go back to safety, they were going to be gunned down by Whiskey on the top floor. So essentially, those two players were stuck between a rock and a hard place, and Lua fully capitalized on that. Eventually, that just translated into the easiest round win of their life. So really well coordinated from Crest to try and bring back that scoreline.
Yeah, 5-4 looks a lot better than 6-3, certainly, for the side of Crest Gaming. And it's not as if Cyclops really had much of an opportunity in that round. Once it went down to 4-3, Vert to Crest, they had lobby stairs control. It definitely felt like, to me, that was a round that Crest just had to close out, and they did. Lua, though, was big, pushing the stairs, and I don't even know if there really would have been a trade. Had we actually seen the Wamai, instead of having a magnet in hand, actually have the gun and win that, I don't sense he was going to be traded, because the other player for Crest was still top stairs, was not going to be in a position to just swing that quickly. Little pause in the action here off the back of the tactical timeout. We go into an extended pause. I believe that would then be a tech. Or it's just a really, really long attack? I don't know.
Yeah, I was wondering about that. Is that just like an extended tactical timeout that they didn't use the in-game tactical timeout feature for?
Either way, back into the game, which was good. Nice and quick. 5-4. Better from Crest. Probably not like the most super clean attacking round that we've seen, I think, Mandy. Obviously, in the first half, Cyclops had probably better moments where they were super dominant on the attack, but that was pretty decent from Crest. Certainly one of the better ones.
Yeah, I think that was actually excellent from Crest, right? Like, they decided to really focus in their attack on just that lobby side of the map and, like, fully capitalize on, essentially, like, the mistakes in positioning from Cyclops, right? They had 2 players that were trapped, essentially, at those bottom lobby stairs. There's no way they could have gotten out. So, yeah, I actually think Crest did a good job in identifying the weakness there and actually playing into it. But we're going to go down into this basement bomb site instead. Like we've been saying, discussing through this entire map, it is very challenging to clear the entire map. And so it makes me wonder what Crest are going to do here, right?
Blitz.
They've got the Blitz pick. Yeah, that's making me think maybe they're just going to put their attack more centered in towards that bomb site.
Well, I'm imagining that it'll be more so, can you get position outside main breach, open it up, and then you blitz through and just hit site? You've got the Thatcher Thermite combo, E1D, blitz pushes forward. Is that the key win condition here for Crest? If that is the case, they've still got to do a little bit of clearing. Still got to get into site, and they've still got to deal with a couple of roamers. So Lewis got to be very careful. They've actually already made their way towards basement, and this is where the pulse is going to be so important. If Arkali can spot them, he's on the other side of basement though, man. This actually might work now for Crest.
Oh, I think it is as well. The bomb site is fully vacated, and no one is watching the vertical above them either.
So straight through main breach, blitz spots nobody, as they probably might have anticipated on a heavy roam up above. It's Chibisu that gets the initial kill. No trade. Had to win that, did Whiskey. So Plant does go down. Blitz still in play. Nitro Shield pops off of the top of his head and the shield. Pistol out. It's a bit of a struggle. Tough shots to hit with a pistol and a shield in hand. Sironeko knows that he has to drop down, get in the fray. Spots 1, spots 2. Oh, he's just got 3. But it doesn't matter because there were still 2 more in the lobby that he had to deal with. Counter defuse, and Cyclops will get 2 match points. What a chaotic round.
Defenders win.
You blink and you miss it. Seriously, that attack went down so fast, but the retake came back even quicker than that. It just felt like all of Cyclops were on board of going, oh no, bomb is going down. That's not good. Let's come back to the site ASAP. And the cutoff routes for Crest just weren't quite there in time. Like you were saying in the prep phase, before they actually go in for that execute, they need to set up the remainder of their players to be ready for that retake. And as Cyclops came down and back into the bomb site, it just didn't seem like Crest were actually poised for that post plan and for that situation. They really jumped the gun there in that execute, and it put Cyclops on match point.
Yeah, 2 of them as well. So a handy position to be in now for Cyclops to close this game out, to take a 1-map lead in this best of 3, to see them return to a major. And they've been the better team on labs. I don't think there's really any contest in that. I think Crest have definitely not lost any favor. They've played well. They've had good moments. Even that last round, I didn't hate what they did. And to be fair, the Pulse gets caught. It would have actually worked better had there been a little bit more on-site presence. They maybe catch 1 to 2, then that's less of a retake potential for Cyclops. So I don't think it was even really to do with the execution of what they did, except for obviously the initial fight that they did eventually get to. You lose 2 players, so neither of them win any gunfights. That's going to obviously hinder your ability to win that round. Outside of that, I thought the idea was good, the execution was good, but ultimately they just couldn't finish it off. And that now means Cyclops are in a position where they can take the first map of this best of 3, barring Crest finding a way to now win the next 2. And this is a winnable site. Second floor we've seen is a little bit vulnerable. Open up that main bridge outside, the deal with rafters, and then site's not that far away. So you can actually get into site very quickly.
Yeah, see, you make that point. Site is not far away, but that small gap in between the outside world and the inside world is quite challenging to get yourself into, right? There's been points that we've seen on the attack here where they get really stagnated just outside the breach. Yes, the controller's trying to go out from below, but Chibisu can take care of that super easy. Sireneko, he's just down there all on his lonesome. No one's there for the trade, so they can isolate that gunfight with 3 of them coming down for the pinch. And like we're seeing here, right, Crest, yes, the breach is open. Yes, the bomb site is literally right there. We can see it in the outlines while we're on board Lure right now, but getting into IT, dangerous point of entry, right? Getting inside connector, even more dangerous point of entry. So the attackers are really stuck exterior to the building right now.
Somewhat similar. If you open up kennels on club, you can't necessarily just walk in, get plant down. Still a lot of work to be done, and this is pretty much the same situation. Just under 90 seconds, logic bomb to go out from Whiskey. That's the final one. Balls go out. No push though from Crest off of it. In fact, Diffuser gets left behind momentarily by Claire as they try to push forward. So a gate that has to be dealt with as well. Just over a minute, and Nitrocell gets through it from Anderton, sensing maybe a little bit of presence and push from Crest. Nitrocell goes out. We can see there's no one there. That one falls short of the mark. Whiskey loses a battle. That's going to make life very difficult now for Crest. 5 versus 3, and they are on the ropes firmly. With Choppy still down below, it's only really 2 above for Crest. They do not now look like that they're in a position to win this map. Cyclops should be pretty comfortable from here.
Yeah, that's exactly right. All Cyclops needs to do here is play the disciplined game. Eclair, though, he's managed to find some control inside a connector, diffuser in hand, but can he make good work of it?
Still 30 seconds. They got one back, they'll make it a second. Not bad from Choppy. Certainly gives them a little bit of a lifeline, followed up by Lure. Been so good in the fights, and Eclair follows too. Well, how quickly things can change. Now down to Suzu in what was a 1v3, now 2, by finding that initial kill and remembering Eclair has to get the plant down. Swings and roundabouts, twists and many of them in this particular tale, in this particular round. The one last twist of them all. It's Eclair, fakes plant, gets off and swings to find the kill through the doorway. This map is not done just yet.
Cyclops getting a little bit antsy there on the defense, get punished up by the remaining players of Crest as they really started to encapsulate in that bomb site. It all got kicked off with Choppy down below, finding that first pick and then enabling himself to eventually creep up one of those stairs. The problem with that top floor bomb site is that once you're down then in the numbers advantage, suddenly there are a lot of holes that originally one of your players was probably using to hold an angle, but he's dead, right? So now you've got to start watching that angle too. And as the attack started to come in, they really started to use those defending holes. They're two-way, of course. They started using them against the defenders instead. And as a result, Crest, they find the ones that they need off the back of some real antsy moves there from Cyclops.
Yeah, and it just gives that sort of lifeline now for Crest. Okay, you ward off one match point. If you can do it again, suddenly OT beckons. And considering we're into the semifinals, doesn't really matter now in terms of points. The points are irrelevant. They're not even a factor. You just get to OT, suddenly freshens up the slate a little bit.
10 seconds to
And you can maybe look to steal this map. And if they steal it, my goodness, what a turnaround it would be. CAG, pressure on them now, well and truly. When you've got 2 match points, the pressure's not really too significant because you've got a little room for error. Well, you've made that error now. You've lost that round. You've lost that little buffer. Can't afford to lose this. Tried and true, stock standard operator lineup for Crest. Double hard breach, couple of entry. I like the flank watch here with the Nomad and the air jabs that can be employed by Whiskey. And it looks like largely on-site defense, doesn't it, from Cyclops? I don't think they're going to be too crazy about this. Obviously, Arkali trying to find some information with the heart sensor on the pulse down below. Outside of that, I don't know if Cyclops is going to try and get too fancy now in a match point round.
Oh, Whiskey's going to get C4'd for sure, right? He's just going to loiter around down inside of the ground floor, but there's a lot of potential for Arkali down below. The moment that he stands still, he's doomed. Oh yeah, it's actually going to get out of there. So he's now out of storage. His life is safe from where he is. Surely that's outside. You can't do that, Arkali. Okay, thank goodness. So for Crest, yes, they do eventually have to mount this attack onto the top floor, but like you were saying, it is very anchor focused for Cyclops. A really important adaptation that they've brought to this round is that they've reintroduced the mirror into their setup, right? Last time we saw Crest try and attack this, they really struggled with the ranged hard breach and not having it in their lineup to deal with that mirror. Lua's only got 1 more of those Selma charges in hand, but it's actually Anaton that goes down early.
Yeah, big kill. Not so much in terms of operator, but just getting that early advantage in the round. Still 90 seconds, so still a lot of time here for Crest. 1 less defender to deal with as well. Pings go out, bit of information. In fact, a lot of information when you look at that drone economy for Crest. Oh, double though. At the exact same time, 2 areas of the map. Chopper's going to win Raptor's battle here, and he's struggling to do so. Played the Kiba barrier to perfection, did Chibisu. 4 versus 2 to close this map. Lua, Cyrenaico. Lua's been good in this game, very good, but not there, not at that time. And this will be the map, you would think. 7-5 written all over it. Goes prone, Chibisu to then follow up. So good halves go out. In this best of 3 semi-final, it is the map 1 by Cyclops, their map pick. It's in the book.
Cyclops really turned it up, especially going into that second half of the defense here on Labs. They played that to perfection. They just brought along these strategies, and they actually played the philosophy of their strategies incredibly well, and Crest just looked so nervous on the attack to get anything done. All their attempts to get inside of the building were stunted by especially the roamers